Well, guys, we've made it to another weekly roundup already, and I don't know about any of you guys, but it's really starting to feel like time is trying to play some sort of trick on me. On the one hand, it feels like everything is moving at 1,000 miles an hour, and on the other hand, Donald Trump has only been in office for 11 weeks. I mean, are you kidding me? It feels like 3 or 4 years. Is anybody else experiencing this? Or is it just me? Either way, Donald Trump has 197 weeks left to go, and for those of you counting down the days, it is 1,380 days until Donald Trump is supposed to leave the White House. Now, of course, everybody has been focusing this week on all of the economic turmoil from Donald Trump's tariffs, but we also got a huge win this week when the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that the Trump administration must facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This is a huge win, and we don't necessarily know how this is going to work out or if the Trump administration is going to follow the order at all. But with any luck at all, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is one step closer to seeing his family again. This is a huge win for the rule of law, and we don't get many wins these days, so we need to celebrate them and savor them when especially the Supreme Court does the right thing. Now, of course, the weekly roundup is all about gathering up a whole bunch of clips. They don't necessarily touch on any particular topic. It's just kind of a way for us to wind down at the end of each week, maybe have a laugh or two. But let's go ahead and kick things off with this clip that was going around of Obama with a little bit of a thought experiment. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this. Imagine that. Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. You're laughing, but no, this is what's happening. Imagine if I'd said to law firms that were representing parties that were upset with policies my administration had initiated, that you will not be allowed into government buildings.
Yeah, so Obama goes on to list all of these different examples, and he is right to do so. We know that if any of these things were happening under any other administration at all, whether it was a Democrat or a Republican, people would be losing their minds. But for whatever reason, Donald Trump enjoys this cult of personality. They have no standards, no values, no principles, and things are just getting out of control, and people in the MAGA bubble just don't seem to care at all. But I implore you to just think about if the shoe were on the other foot. What if it was somebody like Obama who was going after the free press? What if it was somebody like Biden who is investigating his so-called enemies? I mean, these things would not be okay to do, and we should not allow them to be happening under the Trump administration as well. So I really encourage everybody out there to think about the kind of country that you want to live in and the things that Donald Trump is doing. Is that really how you want our country to function? Is all of this corruption okay? I mean, just really, really think about it for a minute. And I think Obama is absolutely right to point these things out. And especially if it were Obama, I mean, people would be out in the streets trying to, assert their Second Amendment rights. They would be absolutely furious, and they would be right to do so. Let's go ahead and move on to, I think his name is Robert Wolf, and he's going on Fox News, and he's saying the quiet part out loud. These tariffs are not working.
Says this big, beautiful economy that actually was rolling pretty good with jobs and inflation coming down feels more like the Game of Thrones Red Wedding. I mean, it is not going well. This is being executed poorly. His economic advisors are being intellectually dishonest. Trade wars are bad. Tariffs are a tax. Consumer prices are not going down. We're 70% a consumer-driven country. So building a moat around the United States with protectionist and isolationist economic policies are not positive.
Yes, yes, and yes. It is about time that people are starting to speak up on Fox News. I don't know if you guys have been following any of the coverage there at all, but they have kind of tried to downplay this whole tariff madness for quite some time. And I'm really happy to see that they are coming on and they're spilling the beans. They're spilling the truth. Donald Trump was handed an economy that was the envy of the world at the time. We were recovering after COVID better than any of our G7 counterparts, and Donald Trump has single-handedly turned that all around. He has single-handedly crashed our markets. He has single-handedly injected all of this chaos and the fear into the markets, and every single bit of it is Donald Trump's fault. And I'm so glad that there are now voices coming onto Fox News and telling that audience the truth for once in Donald Trump's life. I mean, we'll go ahead and leave it there. This is an older clip, but I think it's so relevant to today because as the markets were crashing, Donald Trump flew down to one of his resorts and was playing more golf. And somebody rightly cut this together, showing how Donald Trump was criticizing past presidents for their golf.
Obama, it was reported today, played 250 rounds of golf.
Everything's executive order because he doesn't have enough time because he's playing so much golf.
Obama ought to get off the golf course and get down there.
I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf.
He played more golf last year than Tiger Woods.
This guy plays more golf than people on the PGA Tour.
I love golf. I think it's one of the greats, but I don't have time.
If I were in the White House, I don't think I'd ever see Turnberry again. I don't think I'd ever see Doral again.
I'm not going to be playing much golf, believe me. If I win this, I'm not going to be playing much golf.
Now, obviously, there's not much to say here. Every confession, or what is it? Every accusation is a confession, as they say. Donald Trump has played probably more golf than any past president. It's probably not even close. Every single weekend he's down there, plus other days. I mean, Donald Trump, he doesn't work. He is not governing the country. He's coming up with these brain-dead ideas and then tweeting out about it and manipulating our markets. And all the while, he's riding around on a golf cart. It's just absolutely funny to me that, again, this is another example of where conservatives just have no shame at all. Donald Trump called people out over and over and over again, and now Donald Trump is doing the exact same thing, but where's the conservative critique at? Anyway, I'll leave it there. We also have Maria Bartiromo on Fox News saying that we could be heading towards a recession.
It is going to have an effect on Main Street. Some things will become higher priced. We will see some products actually be raised in price because companies will pass on the cost of tariffs to consumers. I would expect that. That's why you have some people saying that we could see a recession, we'll see a growth slowdown.
Where was this energy when Donald Trump was talking about this in on the campaign trail? Where was this energy? Everybody on the left and other rational minds were screaming, this is not a good idea. And Fox just either didn't cover it or they tried to sell it as some huge win or some big negotiating tactic that Donald Trump was the master negotiator. I mean, they just painted over it every which way. And now that we are seeing the impacts of his disastrous ideas now, after the damage has already been done, now they're starting to say something. I mean, people just need to be more honest more often. Maybe we wouldn't be in this situation if Fox News could actually, spit facts to their audience. And maybe we wouldn't be in the scenario that we are in now. But, just media is failing all around these days. But let's go ahead and move on. We all love Stephen Miller, right? Right? Here he is once again raging in a Fox News interview.
Here's a country we protect. Here's a country that we defend. Here's a country that's an ally and partner of the United States. Why is it that we have a $50 billion automobile deficit with Japan and another $50 billion automobile deficit with South Korea? Our troops are stationed right now in South Korea, keeping them safe and free. Our troops, our soldiers, away from home, away from families in South Korea. $50 billion automobile trade deficit with that one country alone. President Trump is going to fix our global trading relationships. And at the same time, he's going to work with Congress to make America the manufacturing center of the world with the lowest taxes, the lowest regulations, and the cheapest energy.
Even Martha McCallum was like, okay, dude, if you say so. Why is Stephen Miller so angry so much of the time? I mean, he's always screaming at something, right? And again, they're just trying to sell you a false reality here. What he is saying is not true. I mean, the United States is a huge economic superpower. We've got a lot of consumer buying power. And therefore, we go over to other countries and we consume their goods. That doesn't necessarily mean that the trade deficit is bad. And that's all that means. We are buying more from other countries than they are buying from us. This is not inherently a bad thing. And to think these people just have not thought about any of this. They're all operating under this fantasy worldview that trade deficits are somehow us subsidizing other countries. But as many people have probably said, I go into my barber, I pay him for my haircut, and I get the haircut. Do I now have a trade deficit with my barber? I mean, it's just not logical on any level. And as we can see, it is damaging our economy, like pretty much wholesale at this point. And Jamie Raskin is rightly pointing out, aren't you guys getting tired of winning yet?
So much winning. The country can hardly stand how much winning Trump is doing for himself and Elon Musk and his billionaire cabinet. Perhaps he could have yelled "4" on the Greenway so tens of millions of Americans could have taken our retirement savings out of the stock market before he hit us in the head with a golf ball.
So much winning, baby. Donald Trump was supposed to come in. He was supposed to lower the cost of living. He was going to make all of us, we were going to be living in the golden age again, right? Wrong. Donald Trump and his bullheaded approach with these tariffs has been wreaking havoc on our entire economy. And as we have seen, retirement accounts, people with 401ks and other retirement accounts, they have been getting decimated in the markets. And now some people don't even know if they're going to be able to retire when they wanted to retire. That is not the definition of winning. That is the exact opposite. And as I've said many times before, all of this is to be blamed on Donald Trump. That's it. That's all. It's a straight line from here to there. There is no other reason why we should be experiencing all of this economic turmoil right now. But we got Sean Duffy going on like, what do they say? North Korea style television. Why is he talking about shower heads and dishwashers as people's economic livelihoods are getting battered and bruised? Why is he doing this?
But the president's talking about shower heads. You don't have enough water that can come through your shower head because of Biden's regulations. And so again, fixing small things like that, hopefully it's going to get the dishwashers. Wouldn't it be great if dishwashers worked again, where you don't have to wash your dishes first and then put them in the dishwasher to actually get a little heat on them? I mean, common sense stuff he's doing.
I mean, what are we doing here, folks? Markets are falling off a cliff. People are shutting down their businesses or laying off workers. And you've got Sean Duffy, part of the administration, talking about shower heads and dishwashers. I mean, are you kidding me? Is this really what Donald Trump is focusing on? Is this really what the administration wants to be focusing on right now? I mean, this is just another distraction, right? Has anybody really had problems with their shower heads or their dishwashers? Is this really a concern to everyday Americans? It's not something that I've noticed in my life. My shower head works just fine. My dishwasher works just fine. I don't have to do extra scrubbing on the dishes beforehand. Like, what are these people talking about? You know, I really just truly think that this is another way for them to try to distract you. As Donald Trump makes all of these terrible decisions with our economy and is hurting people over there, he's saying, ooh, look over here. So don't buy it, and we will still call it out every step of the way if it needs to be done. Here's another example of that. And please, can somebody tell me who this reporter is?
They're releasing the president's fitness plan. He actually looks healthier than ever before. Healthier than he did 8 years ago, and I'm sure everybody in this room could agree. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
I can confirm the president is in very good shape.
What? The president is looking healthier than ever before. He's looking healthier than he did 4 years ago. I'm sure everybody in this room could agree with you. What? Who is this? Who is this reporter? Is this another consequence of Donald Trump having more control over who is allowed to ask him questions? Who is allowed to ask Caroline Leavitt questions? I mean, is this what we get for putting a whole bunch of sycophants around Donald Trump? It sure does seem like it. I mean, in what world does this reporter live in? Donald Trump looks significantly degraded. He looks significantly diminished. He is obese. He is oranger than he's ever been before. He is not a beacon of health. I mean, what? I just don't get it. I saw this right before I went to shoot this video, and I had to include it because I was so dumbfounded that a reporter was actually asking this question. Again, what are we doing here, folks? What are we doing? All right, we got one clip to go, and I wanted to include this clip because I'm trying to leave off on a positive note at the end of each week. Here is Tim Walz talking about making sure that we're not turning our back on our principles.
Donald Trump snatching up college grad students and sending them back, or sending folks to El Salvador illegally, that's not the policy. But for us to them to say, we don't care that violent criminals come in, we most certainly do. What we were asking for is the resources to make sure they don't get here. And the same thing with the other policies. It's not a woke policy to provide food for children to get breakfast and lunch, and we get better outcomes from that. They defined things on their terms that weren't true. And what I'm saying is, are we going to turn away from being a country of legal immigration? Are we going to turn away from a country that thinks diversity and making sure that we don't have gaps in income between blacks and whites? Those are policies that have strengthened America. And I think what we allowed ourselves to do is we got timid. And then when we got power, we didn't pass things that improved people's lives.
Now, I could not agree more with Tim Walz here. We have got a huge problem here on the left where the right has been so good at defining who we are. And a lot of the times, like especially when it comes to the immigration thing, like where has everybody been? Where has people in Congress been on Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case? I know a few of them have spoke out against it, but it feels like the Democratic Party as a whole is like scared of their own tail as far as talking about immigration. Just because Donald Trump, that was one of his strongest issues and he's been an absolute asshole on that subject doesn't mean that we still don't defend our values. Of course we don't want people here who are violent criminals and wreaking havoc on our society. But that doesn't mean we don't stand up for people like Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was violently rounded up without due process and then sent off to a gulag in El Salvador. I mean, so often the right will spin up their lie that defines the Democratic Party or people on the left. And then oftentimes we don't spend the time actually creating the image of ourselves. We don't take the time to rebuke that lie that they have told. And a lot of times it just seems like we're ceding ground to them on those topics. And the immigration one is a huge one. But there's a whole bunch of other things that you can talk about as well. DEI. I mean, we've rolled so far back on these anti-discrimination policies. It is insane. But we should have the argument. We have the better argument. We cannot just let them keep on defining us as some sort of radical left loonies when we do have the better ideas. We just have to go about, telling the story in the right way. DEI and its end goal is a noble thing. Has there been times where it's been implemented in a weird type of way that might not be the best? Yeah, sure. But that doesn't mean we just cede all of the ground to the right. I mean, that's an absolutely insane way to go about, winning on these issues. We cannot win if we allow the right to define us and then we don't take the time to fight back against it. So I think this is something we really, really need to consider as we move forward. I think we have the better ideas. Our policies help more people. And I think on the whole, when you poll people on the different policies that we have, most Americans agree. So we need to get better at making sure that we are defining ourselves and making sure that the right is not defining us for us. So I thought this was a really, really solid message from Tim Walz. I do a little bit disagree. I think that Joe Biden is probably going to go down in history as one of the best presidents in my lifetime. I think he did pass a whole bunch of stuff that helped the everyday American. Some of those things got rolled back, and now that Donald Trump is in there, he's rolling a whole bunch of crap back. But I do not think we did a good enough job at selling our wins. The truth doesn't speak for itself many of the times. So we've got to be better at messaging. We've got to be better at defining who we are, what we stand for. And we definitely cannot allow the right to define us and then just, it just looks like we're rolling over on all of our principles. And that is definitely not the case, especially for me and I'm sure many of you guys. So we got to be better at this whole messaging thing. So these are the clips that I had for you guys this week. I know it's been crazy out there The markets have been falling off a cliff, and then they went up again, and then they went down again. We still have these across the board 10% tariffs. We've got 25% tariffs on automobiles. I know things are a bit shaky out there, but we do need to celebrate our wins. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, they said that he needs to be returned to the United States. I'm hoping that all of that goes well. I hope the Trump administration makes a good faith effort to get that man back, because this is like I've been saying, this is not what we should be doing in the United States of America. We are better than that, and I think most Americans agree with me on that, and we need to do a better job of standing up for these people who have now lost all of their voice because they have been sent to a gulag down in El Salvador. So I know things are a bit shaky out there, guys. Hang tough. We will make it through this together. We are the resistance. We will fight back. We will build a coalition that pushes back against this authoritarian regime. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We're trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. And if you guys want to see the breaking news story of that Supreme Court order, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.